If that's close, if they.
Oh, you're right, there is gonna be a way around.
I got it. I got my license.
Oh, shoot. Well, at least I'm going the opposite.
Right.
We're in.
Already.
We're beginning.
Yep.
Negotiation Friday.
I got everybody.
Okay.
So let's look at that.
There.
First item of
Well,
business would be
especially for 10, you have to get
resolution,
through 10.
3135, that would be that you
Yeah.
check off effort. Yay, you like the little animals. Spacious thing.
Oh, so yeah, when the city approved the development agreement with WSU Forest back in 2009, there was a wetland that was discovered basically where the Chipotle sits right now. There was a wetland there, and this, as part of the development agreement, the city council at that time agreed to allow them to construct the off-site wetland mitigation for that fill on the Fiddle Creek Trail property next to Fiddle Creek Trail. They constructed that wetland 2012. Under the DOE order, they had to monitor it for 10 years, which ended in 2022. The last step in the process is recording kind of a notice to the title of that property saying there's a wetland here that will be permanently protected as such. Because we are the property owner, we have to sign the notice. And the notice that we're signing is actually the notice that we use when we record these types of notices on other property when there's wetlands located on them. So the action today is just to, before the CDC, is just to authorize the mayor to sign the notice, permanently protecting the wetland that's already there. Has been there for a decade.
And then we're just all satisfied with it kind of thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It met all the performance measures. It was actually done under a Department of Ecology order, not a city of Bonney Lake permit. So Ecology has signed off on it, stating they've met all the requirements. The last thing outstanding is the recording of this. And since it's an easement on real property, council needs to take action to authorize the mayor to sign it.
I remember me asking why you could put a wetland someplace else like that.
Oh, you can.
I know, I just didn't understand it.
Yeah, and the actual fill of the wetland didn't occur until about 2017 when Costco went in, but they had already filled it on paper and constructed their offsite mitigation.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how you said they discovered wetland in the WSU forest. I'm like, oh, really? Was it like hiding? Was it?
Well, it was more. It was just more. It was,
yeah, I get it.
Demonstration forest that they weren't aware of it being
right.
A regulated wetland in that area.
So there's no impact on the neighbors or anything.
Oh,
it's been there.
Yeah, and the area that's being recorded is the whole buffer and everything, and it would be area that would be critical area anyway because it would have been the buffer for Fennel Creek.
Yeah. So it's already on our property.
It's already on our property, and it's on that side of the trail, and it doesn't.
Yeah, so the trail's like here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on it's.
So the trail's like right here.
No, the trail's on the other side.
This side?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fiddle Creek's on the other side.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's been there for 10 years.
It's good to me.
Yeah. Alrighty, we'll move that one forward.
Consent agenda?
Consent agenda,
I think
please.
so.
Then we'll move to the resolution, Doug, the 3128 that we. There maybe.
I kept rereading it.
I read it about 5 times. I'm like,
Okay.
Go for it, Doug.
So I tried to, as we last time, I tried to explain how we are where we are today and how this would affect us if you approve it and go forward. And what I was trying to explain is back in 2021, council approved a resolution for us to do the design. It's a contract that they approved the design and construction services for this phase of the SCADA. At that time, it was $61,000. At the end of 2022, there was still $32,000 left on that contract, 15,267 in water, sewer, 17,415 in the sewer funds, which is part of completing the overall project is still to be used. Last year, resolution 3046, another contract was approved with Source Electric, a notice of award. That was $188,934. Anyways, at the end of the year, none of that contract was spent. So, that contract is still, active, open. And so, what I tried to show is how that was divided up. In that contract, $17,066 would get paid by the water fund, and $171,867 would get paid in the sewer fund. And what I'm saying is, because both these contracts are not complete, the POs for those are still open. The payment for those, for that to be completed is in 2023. So then if you jump up to the budget amount that we showed that in water, in 2023, the budget was approved for 50,000, and in sewer, 172,000. And if you assume that we're gonna, complete those two contracts, they're encumbered, the POs make encumbered, that leaves us a remaining of $17,665 in water. And then we're already in the red of $17,282 in the sewer. So if this contract with Parametric is approved, that would put $13,532 in the red in the water, and $57,940 in the sewer. Talking with Sherry on this, he said that the water fund or CIP, water CIP funds, has funding available for the biennium, or if we did a mid-biennium amendment to adjustment that would to support that for the water, the 13,000. In the sewer CIP funds, we do not have the funding available to do the same thing in the sewer. He said that you council would have to approve to use sewer rates to for that negative instead of the sewer CIP funding, the sewer rate funding. So that's where I
Thanks, Doug.
stopped for that.
Yeah, no worries. So like on the water piece, you're listing we had a budget of 50,000 so far for 23-24, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then right now we have available 17,600.
Yes,
So we've already spent whatever it is, $30,000.
it's encumbered as what as
Have we already spent it?
we haven't actually written the checks, but it's where the POs that I talked about in the budget description, the open POs from the design contract with RH2 and the construction contract with Source.
See, that's where I'm getting a little confused, because just to taking that one, like you say, we budgeted 50K, then the current balance is in the drawer is $17,000, but I'm kind of hearing you say that, oh, that's 17, and I know that I've got 30 out there that I got to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of how, if you,
Because my current balance, to me, and I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, current balance to me is what we have today. That's like what we have right now. It's like I go.
well, when I say current balance, that includes money that has been spent and money that has been set aside to pay, to finish paying
see,
off
so
POs.
and that's where I'm like, verging in lanes with you, right?
Okay,
'Cause I'm like,
but
I'm
that's
like, no,
usually
that's not
where,
the way.
yeah.
I believe that we would show it
okay.
because
I mean, that's the way we've always shown it, because we don't want to, we don't want to show you, if I was to show you what was spent, it would, and actually still show 50,000, the current balance of 50,000
Right.
in the water. I'll just stick with the water for
yeah,
example. It
exactly.
would still show 50,000 in the water because we haven't actually spent
Right.
that money.
Right.
But
And
that
then your
would be,
required
that would
expenditure
not be,
the
That's all I
telling
do.
you the whole story, the
Right.
truth. Because then you go, oh, yeah, we're fine. But then we'd still end up in the red.
Yeah.
So that's why you gotta include the POs that are active that will be, that are still allocated to be spent.
Right, but I'm a definite no on that, right? Because this is a cash-based business,
Yes.
so you can't tell me the current balance in my mind includes some encumbrances. We just can't do that because my current balance is again what I would go to today and scoop out of the account, and that's what I had.
I don't know
And
what
that's
you,
why,
I don't
because,
know.
see, that's why I can't get to the required expenditure. Because isn't the required expenditure 31 for the whole project? And I hear you saying that, well, we really have 50 in there. So if
Yes.
my required expenditure for water is 31 and my real balance is 50, then I wouldn't be getting to a negative.
Kinda like if you use
See,
your
there's
credit
another
card,
column in there
you
like
got
you're
a credit
showing.
card and you just bought a trip, I'll use mine, a trip to Florida. With your credit card, you paid back those airlines,
Yeah.
and your wife says, well, can we get this, a new chair because it shows our checking account still shows that we still have, $400 in it. And you go, no, because I need those $400 to pay for this when this comes due.
See, that's if you're like paying it all off, right?
Yes,
Because once you've
yes.
once you've made that purchase on your credit card, that's an actual purchase. You've actually expended those funds at that point in time.
But my checkbook, my checking account doesn't know that yet. So I'm telling her that says, no, that chair,
So with the
she's not
50,
better than that.
what's the required expenditure that you're thinking from water then? Not 31?
It is 31,000. Yes.
But I heard you say that you've already, in your mind, thinking that there's more money that you're attributed to that.
So, can I just jump in here
Sure.
for a second? Because I think I understand, I think where Dan's going is if this had shown the budget amount of 50, a current balance though would be 0, correct? But the required expenditure would be his 23-24 project cost, the contract he's bringing forward now, plus the remaining work from the 2022 contract.
Right.
Would be his current expenditure,
Right.
or required expenditure, and then that balance would be the 50,000 minus that required expenditure would be your budget balance. Is that what?
Because you said 0 there, though.
So, okay,
Current balance.
maybe if I understand what both of you are trying to
The
say.
budgeted amount.
So the current balance would show 50,000 because we haven't spent that.
Yeah.
That PO
If
yet,
you haven't
that
written a check
PO.
for it, you haven't spent the money.
So the required expenditure is
I don't
gonna
care how
be
much you
2 numbers. You want me to put, then I would put the open PO, the required expenditure would be the open POs plus what I'm asking,
Plus your new contract.
plus the new contract? Is that what
Yeah.
you're asking?
Yeah. Yeah, so the required expenditure what that should reflect is your new contract plus the remaining work from
Right.
last year's
Right.
contract
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
We can do that. I can do that, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you in 17 years I've been here, we've never done it
Well, yeah,
that
but
way,
remember,
but
Doug, too, right?
but we
Because
could,
we weren't
you know,
cash in a little while. We'd converted to this accounting system a while back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, it was, I don't know, it was maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, or
Cause it's a budget
mean,
moving forward, right?
I
Because
wanna-
as
Whatever
Sherry was
makes it
talking about.
clear what we're asking for.
Uh-huh.
Because the way I look at it is, you've already approved those open POs.
True, but we didn't necessarily, because it's in your ballpark to approve the work and the cost, right? Because you could say, yeah, we decided not to do that. And, you could get into a pissing match with the vendor could say, yeah, I got a contract
Okay.
for it. And then, that would never work. Vendor you'd be saying like, okay, we're paying you the last time. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Mhm.
So, that kind of thing. You haven't paid him yet. Because you could change the work. Say, nah, I didn't decide to do lift station 21 because it fell off the face of the earth and we didn't need it. You didn't have to pay for it.
So if I did it the way you're proposing, that number, the required expenditure, instead of being 31,198, would be 31,988 plus 15,267 plus another 17,066.
Whatever work is required for the water component of what you're
Yeah.
doing moving forward, the future work.
But my budget balance, those numbers would still be the same of what you're
Like-
seeing today. So really, what I'm hearing is you don't like the way the current balance is showed and the required expenditure is showing.
Correct. Yeah. So you would show your budget amount in this instance, your budget amount and your current balance for water is about $50,000. Yeah.
Unless you
Yeah. And then your required expenditure is going to be your new contract for this year plus required water expenditures from the work that didn't get completed last year. You'll add all that together in your required expenditure and then just do the math.
Because
Do you want anything shown such that you can see what like I say, what you've approved, what was approved previously, plus what I'm asking for today. I'm not asking for that other stuff today. I'm only asking for this 31,000 today.
But you're going to expend the money in the future. So that's what we're looking at.
So the other thing to
So
remember,
you're only asking for 31,000?
I'm
The
just using-
parametric needs $71,000 to do this work.
right. I'm just using the water line item as instead of jumping back and forth in water. That it gets even
It's
more.
messy. You don't want to make it.
Well, you want the rest of the council to understand too when they see it, going forward. Just
But
if we're having trouble here.
Yeah. The thing to remember also is, let's say this all gets approved and the project gets completed in 2022. Okay.
123.
Right. Yes.
You got a time machine.
Okay.
You're good.
And come September, it gets completed back in July.
Yeah, sure.
And then, and there is money left on the table
Uh-huh.
that never got spent.
Sure.
And I come and I got a new piece I want to add to that.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show. It's not like I'm gonna. If I did it the way I'm doing it, you're still going to see what was expended. I mean, I'm not hiding money. I'm trying not to hide money. That's
No,
what I'm
it's true.
trying.
because
It's
it's
a
left over.
forward-looking thing to make sure that that everybody understands that that just because we've already approved is past expenditures that are going to happen. That wasn't built in, as Sherry noted, right? I think in the SDCs because of the larger spend in the sewer.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, hey, wait a minute, we did not budget for that work that you're talking about. The cost that's going to be incurred, we did not budget for it, right? We have to figure out a way to pay for it. We can't say, oh, well, we've already approved that in 2022 because these folks that are using the forward-looking stuff and doing our rate analysis, the guy that's going to be down here, he needs to know that he had to calculate that into his rates. Otherwise, we get this thing where they come back, and it's like, well, wait a minute, your budget only said that you were going to spend 172 and sewer spent 200 and what have you for this particular project.
Yeah, I don't know if they look at like if they're sitting when they come down, like if they sit down with you today and the rates. I don't know if they include what was spent in 2022.
Well, I don't know how they could, right? Because they're trying to go forward.
Yeah, that's pretty.
What Chris is doing is looking at the budget numbers to come up with what you have in the CIP
Mhm.
to come up with his rates. So if you've had this in the CIP
It was in 2022.
2022, then that's what he's been looking at.
But not in 2023 moving
Right.
forward.
Right.
Because rates can only go forward as much as some people would like to go. Not you, the other accounting people.
So I'd like to propose that for now, we put this out of its misery and we will, I will regroup with Doug and get you a agenda bill that will convey the message more clearly as far as what's going on.
I would like to,
How come we didn't do this in 2022 again?
because I can't get,
No, this is not you.
software,
This is
no,
other
I
people.
can't. The subcontractor for the contractor, Source Electric,
Uh-huh.
is the contractor.
Yeah.
He has not been able to move forward because of Allen Bradley
Yeah.
PLCs and a couple other components that were still.
Yeah.
I'm
Back ordered for 12 months.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you
Yeah.
should be familiar with.
Right,
that,
yeah.
so. But
Doing the same thing.
we can address
That's good.
the as we talked about for the current balance line of numbers and the required expenditure numbers and correct that. The thing that I wondered if I'd like to continue forward, because I hate to come back and then
Yeah, we can only be here for so long.
right because the end numbers, the budget balance, those numbers, they're not changing.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
still an item that
Yeah.
needs to be discussed.
Right, yeah. And that's like, yeah, exactly. So you're gonna take the two PLCs and change them into one. Your engineering people already told you that's a great idea, and we've all said, oh yeah, plus we could really care less whether sewer works anyways because they're fully independent. And it doesn't really need the MTU thing anyways, right?
Not true. That's totally true. but anyways,
So it's a good idea to put the water and sewer into one PLC. You know, is it actually one PLC? You don't.
there's
have,
actually several PLCs in.
So you're
Yeah.
not in a situation where if you lose this one, you're totally hosed. And are we still over at the thing? And-
See, that's what this is part of. This
Yes, sir.
this project. No,
Is it still over there?
yes,
or
it's still over there.
Is it over there just because I'm irritated?
Because it's still over there because we're waiting to move it over here, which is.
Do I need
part
to
of the-
drive over there and pick it up and put it over there, right? I don't understand. I'm irritated that we built a $24 million facility and it appears that we're still doing a lot of activities at this old site that we need to get rid of and we need to move on.
Absolutely, and that's part of what this is all
Well,
about.
why can't we pick up the old system and move it to the new system? Because Chuck's going to tell me there's about 27 different ways to do this, and the data thing already sitting over there, and there's
What?
because you wanted to create the new one over there and not bother with the old one, so you're just going to.
The new. Okay,
I'm trying to get everybody.
you
out of that
understand
building
this is
over
more than just moving the MTU itself.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. Yes, I do. The project is very much more than that.
Okay.
But actually, the computer's connected to a data network. I'm assuming that that data network is available over the new.
The viewing computers are already over there.
Yes.
The server that controls Wonderware is at Allinger Park in where we keep all of our servers. And so that's not at the site. The only thing that is currently still at the old Public Works site is the main
MTU.
radio and the MTU.
Yeah.
And that's what he's wanting to move over there. But that's the only thing left on the old site.
So
We have full use of this data system from the new
Yeah.
facility.
So the MTU, it's not. I mean, the overall contract is not just moving the MTU. It's also another big component of it is upgrading Lift Station 7, and upgrading Lift Station 7 is an important piece to the MTU because it is one of the last pieces that are still using the old PLCs, the autocons, that we're trying to get rid of. That's part of what started this whole SCADA upgrade is these autocon boards are outdated. You can't get them. You buy them on eBay. And so when we started this whole process, that was what we're doing, but we can't get rid of the autocon that's in the MTU until we upgrade lift station 7, because lift station 7 is the last lift station that is the radio system is using through the old autocon.
Sure.
Once we upgrade the old autocon, then we can get rid of the autocon at
Because
the
there's no
MTU.
point to point.
And at the
from
same
over
time, we're
there
moving
to
the
67.
MTU.
No, and they're
panel.
part of Doug's
Right.
project is realigning the radios, so we don't have a tower there, that all the radios are now aligning to the new facility.
Right, because that changes too.
Sorry, I get too many wheezies when delete.
Okay, so I understand, yes, and that's the intent is to get everything to the new system. So,
I need some of those buildings to go away over there.
so,
Some can stay, some can go.
Exactly.
We need to move on.
well, the MTU's is in the upstairs of the.
Yeah. We're working on it. We're working on it.
You're all over it. That's
We'll make it happen.
good job, Doug. Appreciate
So, I hate to beat myself up, I like stepping in fire, I don't have any ashes to walk on. So I hate.
We're good.
I'm good. Well, we're bringing
good.
this back, right?
This
Is it
will
different,
Come
right?
back again.
All right. That's what I got.
We'll get there, Doug, no worries. Sorry. Next one is the ordinance on the leak policy thing. Sherry, you know.
Sherry's not
It's not
here.
here.
I think Steph and I will tag team this one a little
Yep.
bit.
Okay.
And if you'd like, Steph, I'll go ahead and jump off, and then
Yep.
you can take the really difficult questions.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
So, yes, Sherry couldn't be here this evening, but what you have in front of you here is, I think, revisions to both code and the policy that will help us out when we have cases such as this. I think the critical thing as far as the code is concerned is a couple of different items. The first is that when you're looking at the first page of the actual code revisions, you'll see that the word under was added next to and under the building. So what that's saying there is that in the event that the leak is in the water service line only on the owner's side between the water meter and under the building, then it can go on from there, and it's repaired, and upon written request, then it can be considered for a leak adjustment. We did add some clarifying language, the royal we. Actually, I didn't do it myself, but again, Steph and Sherry did an amazing job. You can see some clarifying language was added down there at the bottom of that section for what is not eligible for a leak adjustment. And then moving on, clarifying language was added for leak adjustments pertaining to irrigation systems and the need to have backflow prevention devices on irrigation systems before they can be considered for a leak adjustment.
So I was wondering about the change tracking on there. So the purple was just a font change and the green was the actual.
What I think that is it's updates or
Two.
revisions from two different people.
Okay.
So the
It didn't
green I
show
think
it
was
in the
Steph and the
document.
purple was me.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
you added all the purple.
And then probably the other key point is down in section 6 of the ordinance language. You can see that provided, however, once effective, these changes in the ordinance will be applied retroactively to any leaks that occurred after July 1st, 2020.
And so that'll allow
That
us
was captured
to.
as under.
December. Okay. But we won't be liable for the boat.
No.
lift.
And that's also covered, we made sure to put boat lifts, so that's not going to be,
Right.
it wouldn't,
Okay.
but there is one other one that was a minor one that happened, I think, in August, besides Miss Unger, that was under the foundation that was denied that we will probably approve. It was not
Okay.
like Miss Unger, so it was like only like $100, so.
So that is the code revisions, and then you'll see some updating language to the policy document as well.
I have a question about the door hanger.
Mhm.
Myra, what, it's such large leaks, why are we just putting a door hanger on the?
We don't, we actually do send them letters too.
Okay.
I mean, it's not just the door hanger. You'll
Might
read
be
that. It is,
okay.
it is very, in fact, we just had this issue with one of our other customers who forgot to let us know his new address. He kept yelling at me, "You never told me I had a leak." I said, "Yes, we mailed you 2 letters to a PO box on Fox Island." And he said, "Oh." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, sir, we did notify you. But that you did not tell us your address changed. That's on you."
Right, okay. It's important that they actually know about it. That's
Mhm.
the best way to do it.
And we do try. We don't want them to waste water.
Well, yeah, like Miss Unger was, whatever, working in the day and you put a hanger on there and, you know, if it blows away, she has no idea.
No, but that did not happen with her case. But you're right, there are times that do, but again, our meter readers, before they leave a tag, will knock on the door and try to engage the customer to let them know also.
And can you explain the second sentence to me of 4.3?
The second, just go there. The second sentence of 4.3. And if I am going to understand something, I have to read it out loud, so bear with me.
No, it's fine.
Customers that have been notified of a leak by the utility department should act expeditiously. And then this sentence: any leak that is ignored or not responded to for more than 2 months without cause would be denied a leak adjustment. So your question about that is just
When does the clock start?
From the time we notify them.
What's that mean?
That means that either the time we leave a tag on the door, our meter readers knock on the door and talk to them personally, or if we send a letter out and tell them that they have high consumption and it's a possibility they have a leak. At that time is when, because we have had people in the past go 6-7 months without fixing, even though we've
Sure.
told them over and over again, they don't fix their leaks.
You just specify that on here though?
specify that the 2-month clock starts ticking when
Yeah,
the
I would
notification.
think so.
Certainly could be. I mean, the policy
I wasn't
documents for,
home, so I wasn't notified,
yeah.
but we tried to, but. I don't
Well,
know.
within 2 months, they should have one bill that will tell them there's something wrong.
So that's
also.
what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask, what's significant about 2 months? Is that the bill that by that point in time they can see? Yeah, I'm trying to process that.
And I think certainly clarifying language could be added. It's important to note too that, these policy documents are written for internal staff. So it's not really necessarily meant to provide the explanation to the public. We do
It's
hope that staff would know that that's what, when the clock starts ticking. Other questions or?
You like it, Kelly?
I think it's better. I mean, we're not gonna ever cover all the holes. There's gonna be, somebody else is gonna come back, right?
Well, you're always,
And I
yeah,
would actually prefer something in the code that would say there's some adjudication process that they can ask for these sorts of issues, so we don't have to go back and revise the code every time.
well, there is on our website that says if they have any problem with the bill, it says right there on the website, they can send a letter to the finance director and it says exactly what they have to have in the letter and why they're disputing the bill.
Yeah.
And we do that. Anybody can do that. Whether they're going to get what they want is something else. We have
Right.
people that will, they irrigate all summer using massive amounts of water and then they want us to give them their water back. That's not, they use the water. I mean, at some point, home ownership does come into this because you own your own private property.
Mhm.
Why is the city responsible for what goes on your private property?
Right. Because they charge me taxes, they have easements, I can tell you a whole bunch of stuff, right? They may come inspect my hot tub, right? Because
Not dumping it in the.
I may be dumping it in the lake. Right? So there's a bunch of reasons, but I think, okay, I'm good with this and I appreciate the hard work on it.
Would this
I'm just-
be also considered on the foundation of a building, another building on the property, like a shop?
I'm sorry, I missed the
Would
beginning.
this, the foundation qualify, including going to
An
Shop,
outbuilding, no.
an outbuilding?
An outbuilding is not considered a main line because it's a shoot off from the main line. If you have a garage with it's just like if I had a garage, if I had a leak inside my garage, they're not gonna pay for that. I mean, the city of Tacoma would laugh at me if I asked them to give me an adjustment on that. It's my building.
Now, it's your building, what's the
Yeah.
difference?
Well,
I mean,
but
part
except
of
the
it-
main line actually comes into the house and into the foundation. It doesn't go straight to the second building. That's an offshoot from your main line to your second building. Just like an irrigation system, in a sense. I don't feel like we should be giving irrigation leaks adjustments either, but
Irrigation's like a boat. Yeah.
yes, it's a luxury item. Not everybody has one. But we're giving adjustments to people that do have them and not to people who don't have them.
So we are comfortable with this. Do we want to go ahead and then move forward? Would this be a consent item or do we want to have this on discussion?
I think it should be on discussion because then I'm fine with it.
Susie Adams, your
Yeah, I
poll.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of council people that are concerned, or they would like to know that the good work you did,
Yeah.
right?
Angela gave us tonight that I feel more comfortable with it. I don't know what the result.
Yeah.
That's your.
So I have a question. How many homes has the city foreclosed on for water?
Foreclosed on?
Foreclosed on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know that we've ever foreclosed.
we've
on
never
anything.
had to.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well
we
done.
no,
I'm proud of you guys.
I will be honest with you right now, there's one in the county. The water's been off for about 7 months. The county just now got the squatters out of there and they boarded it up, but they did that on the fact that they had 4 yards piled high, 4 feet of garbage.
Yeah,
So they don't foreclose it because there's no water, but they will do it for other things.
okay.
Yeah, where water is concerned, certainly if the service for some reason is cut off to the house, there is a point in time where code enforcement kicks in and becomes an uninhabitable structure because there isn't clean water, nor is there then a way to evacuate the sewage. But we don't foreclose on it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
still their property, they just have to get the water, but they can
Right.
Okay, I think that's all we got on that one.
We're good on that one.
Thank you.
They have no correction on the
Council
minutes.
meeting.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything for open discussion before I go through my little items?
Yeah, well, just real quick. Are they gonna make the cutoff date at the ball field?
Oh, there is no cutoff date.
Well, it just so happens we have the project manager here. Ball fields. Can you give us?
I know, I
status
thought there
on
was a
that?
cutoff date for the grant. We had to have
Oh.
pavement down in order to apply for the money for the grant. And that, isn't that this month sometime?
So we actually received an extension, but I'll let Doug.
So, back in 1st of December, I put in a request to, WashDOT for an RCO for another 6-month extension. They granted that, so it is now September when, everything has to be completed.
Sweet.
Now, when I say everything has to be completed, the project has to be completed.
Right.
It's not, we're getting paid, 11% of our payment each time we get money from the grant. So we will get full payment, we will have completed full payment way before that. We'll probably complete full payment, by the end of March. But that, we have to make sure to stay within our duties of the contractors to have the project completed by the end of September.
Good.
Right now, the item that's keeping us from, most likely getting a substantial completion, given awarding a substantial completion to the contractor, is the paving. That was supposed to happen, last week, didn't happen because of weather. It was gonna happen this tomorrow because of weather. Right now, we're pushed it to Monday. At the moment, with the days left in their contract, if they do it next week, we'll still be within the contract period. Once the asphalt is completed, we're going to put a suspension on on the timeline, on the time for with the contract, because the striping has to be done, and I don't want to give a substantial completion until the striping's completed in there, and you can't do that for 30 days or 28 or 30 days until after the asphalt has basically cured, and then you can complete the striping. So that's our plan. If they get the striping done next week, we're going to put an immediate suspension on the project and wait 30 days. So you probably won't see much happening during that time frame because technically they're not supposed to be working out there. But you know, they sneak out on site.
So is
So
it
that's
temperature
the
dependent?
plan. What's that?
Asphalt is temperature dependent kind of thing? Is that the criteria or something? Or is that
Temperature and rain. I mean, they can't.
what kind of temperature are you
Uh,
looking for on that? Yeah, I was just looking at the weather forecast.
Basically 40 degrees and rising
Okay,
is what
yeah,
we're,
yeah.
what
'Cause it
we're
looks-
allowing.
Looks
this
rainy,
winter.
but over that.
You can't,
There's
it
some
can't,
asphalt there now.
what?
There's some asphalt there now, right?
There is?
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
Probably some where I drove by there.
Concrete. Oh, yeah, this is all curbs.
So, yeah,
Okay,
it
that's
can,
awesome.
the ground, it could have, you know, like if it's not like raining when they're laying it down, that's okay. If it rained, but the ground is damp, that's okay. We just need a temperature, you know, the ground temperature is usually warmer than the air temperature as well.
Yeah, it just looks like lots of rain will be your,
What's that?
it'll be the rain, it'll be your nemesis
Uh,
for everything else too, because I guess there's a
Has been.
later. Was the activity with putting something on the field or something? Is it a pellet?
That-
Some-
Right, so that's a separate contract, that's
Oh.
that we have directly with the turf supplier. It's separate from Premier, so that, we're still waiting for that to happen, and they say like a week of dry weather.
Yeah.
I know,
I know, right? Well, sometime in August.
it can happen, you know, you see, I mean, I've seen many times since I've lived here that we've gotten like a week of heat, dry weather, you know, in the first half of May. And, you know, so it can happen.
You could.
Huh?
Ryan, did you have any progress on that substation fencing over there? Have they got back to you on that yet?
I heard back again from Jet Payne at PSE. He's our municipal liaison, and he said he is still communicating with his facilities group. However, they will be out here, and if they haven't gotten it already, he said they will be out here as soon as possible to pick up any
Trash is gone.
out there. Is it gone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they came out and picked it up. The idea of spending money to put fence around their substation is probably something that's gonna take a little more pushing.
Costing more than picking trash above all the time. I mean,
Where's that at?
over the substation off of
Yeah.
Myers going by my house over there. I mean, this time they had a huge container of trash, I mean, huge. And a boat there and some trash there. We had a car there last year that was stripped in the parking lot. I mean, just an ongoing problem over there.
Not that it's comforting at all, but he did share that this is a problem they're facing on many properties.
Yeah.
Just tell him you
So
understand
excited.
it to be a high security risk and Department of Homeland
Homeland
Security
Security.
and critical infrastructure. We would like to know about how they're maintaining the
My
facilities.
next call is to Department of Homeland Security, Jeff, so I expect to see
Just
some
be like,
movement.
they'll be out there tomorrow.
One more easy one. The signs on our new trail, how are they coming?
Which signs on our new trail?
Over here, but Elk Creek Trail, we had a big ribbon cutting last year and stuff
Mhm.
on.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
trail we put in last year?
yeah, I remember
Still
the
no signs
trail.
there, yeah.
So are you talking about wayfinding signs or
Yeah.
signs saying trail here?
No one knows what it is, where it goes.
So are you looking for some kind of monument sign or, because there's a lot of
post and a
difference
metal
here.
sign.
Yeah.
And we discussed this already, at another meeting. When we first opened the trail up, I said, sure, it'd be nice to have some signs over there so people know where it goes when you're driving by. Right now, if you're going by there on the street, all you see is by the pump station, there is a concrete and a blacktop trail. Where's it go?
Yeah.
I'd like to go on it, but I don't know where it goes. I'm not gonna work, you know?
Yeah. So we can certainly put some wayfinding signs out there, and we'll add it to the list. It'll get prioritized along with everything else.
On both ends.
Yeah, on both
It'd be
ends.
nice.
We'll see what we can do for you.
You're amazing. That's all I got.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. I'm always there for you.
That's good for something.
It's all your stuff.
Thank you. So I know we probably haven't done much with our water rights scenario.
Yeah, I can give you a quick update, Dan. We've met with RH2 on this issue to get kind of jumpstart that again. You guys will remember that last year we gave the presentation.
Dollars option.
Right. So we had our multi-million-dollar options for actually getting that water to us. One of the things we do owe you is asked for a cost of service analysis. Because the big thing is it going to be cheaper to build something like that or just buy more TPU water? I mean, that's the obvious comparison, right?
Yeah, if it's available and stuff like that, right?
So
exactly.
We'll get going on that. And then I do have a call into the Department of Ecology, a gentleman named Gallagher, who's kind of the water rights guru for ecology, where I got a few questions for him on.
Okay. We still work with the one guy that we have our water rights. I forget.
So there was, I think, Tom Pors was the city's water rights attorney. And I don't know what his current status is, but we would definitely want to employ his expertise.
And one, because we're looking at the most viable option is way out there or something.
It was basically a surface water
I
withdrawal.
don't know, my thought was water service, everything, because we might be in a situation, water right, of, let's say that's Buckley's water system. It was like giving it to them basically 50 years or so that they can, affect it, but if we would own it, that type of thing. We wouldn't have the cost of transporting because we didn't need 30 years anyway.
Yeah, so the nice thing about the surface, there are multiple things that could be entertained to make it work. The big thing though about service areas is its point of use. So while we could do the surface water withdrawal out there towards Buckley, the water isn't being put to beneficial use until it's within our water service area. But you're right, we actually don't need this new quite some time. I think right now our current water system plan says out beyond 2040. So if we were to develop it now, you're right, how would we use it?
Right. All those fun little water details can drive you nuts. You gotta hire the folks that are familiar with them. Well, this is the best way to do that kind of thing, because Cascade is obviously in the same kind of a scenario. But they're huge, they've done nothing. I don't know with Lake Tahoe, right?
Yeah, they're just
They're like,
basically maintaining it as it exists now. Are they?
To build it out, yeah, they adopted a plan to build out it. And they're starting to assess all their members for that.
Of course, they're good.
They're working with a different city.
Yeah.
Exactly. That Easttown sewer lift station, and I think you guys have pushed that off a little bit to future years or something like that. Because, I think the main thing that I had around that is whether you're going to be able to come through the Contos property piece there. There was that kind of like discussion about, well, we can't really do that or couldn't do that or plus or minus type of thing.
So it is scheduled for design in 2024 with construction in the next biennium. And Doug has actually put a lot of work into coming up with some different alignments, getting a little creative and hopefully maybe cutting some costs to build that new force main. But you're right, there is some work to do as far as the latecomer fees go and how it's currently set up, because right now that's just applies strictly to Easttown residents. It doesn't include Mountain Creek. So do we do anything there? Or do we just
that would be a question. Exactly. But if I would think we could use that alignment. Contos or whatever her name is.
Charlotte Contos, yeah.
We don't have an easement.
And see, that's why I would encourage you to look at that really well, and I can have a conversation with her too, because I recall that was part of the deal. And maybe there's some more that she was expecting. It's like some culvert work or something. I really needed this culvert to be increased to make that happen. And
exactly. What she was asking the city to do was in turn for the easement to get through her property. He has a driveway, a long driveway that actually goes across Fennel Creek. Yeah. She wanted the city to basically build a bridge to go across that driveway. And we said we can't do that. It's not our jurisdiction. There's county jurisdiction.
Well, but see, there's no reason we can't do work outside the city.
We just, as a heads up too, we have been hearing that perhaps Chris Lear might be working with her to put in a new culvert or provide some kind of crossing there.
He told me this weekend he has already.
Okay.
I saw him last week.
That's nice of them.
Yeah.
But those kind of issues, you guys have to kind of like doodle, I guess, Hate to see that force main, that gigantic long. It's
Dan, would you want us to bring back something just to talk about different alignments, so we can show you what
right,
we're,
yeah,
what we're thinking?
whatever.
Yeah, happy to do it.
I don't,
I know
middle
Jack
of the night,
appreciates that.
we gotta go down there.
We hate,
12 and hire
we have,
a
that's
crew.
why we want to get rid of it, but.
Right. It provides a lot of value to me. Gases get all screwed up. Sumner in a local agreement, which is my favorite, of course, and I'm gonna be, did we find a paragraph in there that says we shall pay for, capital improvements in your facility that aren't associated with, stuff? And it's probably like, no. So it's all a political question, I understand.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
You guys are technical people.
It's
Either A in there or B not. And I read it over and I could be totally wrong, but I don't think it's in there. And specifically like on that dryer, right? Multi-million-dollar project or whatever.
Yeah. So, to be perfectly honest with you, I need to go back and look at it more closely. The problem that we have, and as I see it, is that the agreement talks about the city of Bonney Lake and the city of Sumner sharing ownership of the plant capacity. Sure. So the equipment that's down there and a lot of the items that get improved via capital projects are handling the treatment of our wastewater. But I get where you're coming from. I'd have to take another look at it to.
I don't know the effect of it is because like a multi-million-dollar thing they need. It's not like a light bulb they're replacing that they're going to put on this. So they're multi-million-dollar expenditure, and I don't know if it makes strategic sense to tell them that you pay for it. Have fun. See ya. They obviously get a bill for us because it's used in that operational envelope.
Mm-hmm.
So does it make sense to say, hey, wait a minute? We'll give you, $1 million for that thing, but by the way, we want, 10% off of our service charge because, we own a lot of that equipment down there now. I don't know, that's kind of like, but, that's part of the conversation with those guys because you guys are professionals to talk to them and, all of a sudden come up and say, no, we're not paying for that, because they're our partners and we have to.
Sure. Yeah, and I can tell you that conversations. I know that city administrator, they've talked and they've not kicked it down to staff, and we're trying to get dates scheduled to get everybody together. So I'll be able to provide more of an update at a future seat. I'm happy to.
Because we have to allocate for that right now, right? That's the rate structure kind of thing that we're thinking that we're going to have to pay for a multi-million-dollar. Pay for it. Because my end thing is it's supposed to have our sewer rates and their sewer rate be.
Yeah. No, understood.
It does it every time.
It's our desk. It's our 5 minute.
Chuck has it configured to remind us to get the heck out of here. Anything else?
Nothing.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thank you.
Let's leave this up.
2007.